Oh my God. This is hilarious, guys. So I don't know if you had a chance to check out the Dallas Cowboys introductory training camp presser today. Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, and company. Man, was that a disaster or what? I would love to say that I feel bad for Cowboys fans, but I don't. I don't. Long live the Jones family. We must protect them at all costs. We will discuss that train wreck of a presser today. We will talk about the Cowboys being all in. And we'll revisit some of the conversations we had yesterday about those players holding out. There have been some updates to some of their situations, and we'll add another player to the mix today. You're locked in to the Louie T Network podcast that starts now. The Louie T Network is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T, here on the 434th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Lots to get to today. Wanted to jump on here in the afternoon. You know, I got to start, like, this is the preseason, right? This is the ramp up period for your man, Louie T now. Got to start getting back into the swing of things. We've been doing a lot of late night podcast episodes because we could, right? Because time permitted us to be able to do that. There wasn't a lot going on. So the schedule wasn't jam packed. So you didn't have to fit in, get in where you fit in. But this is the natural, position for the podcast, during this, early to late afternoon into the early evening stages of the day. So I got to start conditioning myself to get back into this mode of this is the pocket where the podcast goes. I kind of got comfortable with the late night Louie editions of the podcast, but this is where it should be, right? Anyhow, we're back like cook crack, and I'll be trying to work the podcast back into its normal time slot here because, as we know, things are going to start picking up here as we get deeper and deeper into the summer, closer and closer to the fall. We're going to be getting back into our normal habits and back into our regularly scheduled time slots and programming, right? So the podcast also fits into that whole situation. But that said, let's just dive right in. I don't even want to delay this because we're going to have some fun with this one. This one. Boy, the Cowboys are one pathetic loser. I kid, but man, as a fan of a fan base and an organization that was a train wreck for a quarter of a century, what a train wreck looks like from afar, right? And I'm just telling you, man, I will be shocked. I will be shocked if this Cowboys season this year isn't an abject disaster. You know what? I think I'm being a bit over the top. I won't be shocked if it's a disaster. I don't expect it to be. I still think the Cowboys are a good team. And despite all of the noise of the offseason and the inactivity and Jerry talking about being all in, we'll talk more about all in because he mentioned all in again today. I'm going to play you a soundbite from Jerry Jones talking about being all in. I will warn you. This Jerry Jones presser from today was Joe Biden-esque, Sleepy Joe-esque. It's if you're a Cowboys fan, it's a tough listen. It was a tough watch. Man, it was rough. But if you're someone like myself, who's a fan of a team that can't stand the Cowboys, and really that's probably 90% of the league, even if you're not a fan of any of the other teams in the NFC East, you probably hate the Cowboys anyway, right? I mean, either you're a Cowboys fan or you can't stand them. That's a good place to be. But it was rough, but I loved every second of it. So I'm gonna play you some sound bites. I still think they're gonna, when the season starts, they're gonna block out the noise. CD's gonna eventually get paid. This is what the Cowboys do, and they'll play good football and they'll get to the playoffs. But I wouldn't be shocked. Mike McCarthy on the last year of his deal. He's got a 1-year deal for his defensive coordinator. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing fell apart at the seams. If the Cowboys go 8-9 this season amid a bunch of turmoil and finger pointing, I wouldn't be shocked. They're bringing back 87-year-old Dak Prescott to be their lead back. Or it's not Dak Prescott, excuse me, Ezekiel Elliott to be their lead back. I could see the wheels falling off of this Cowboy season, and it wouldn't shock me at all. At all. But that's not what I'm expecting. But it wouldn't shock me. Let's dive into the gym dropping session, shall we? I think we shall. Let me drop this gym on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T-double-E. Let me open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. So I'm not even going to delay. Let's jump into the tomfoolery that was the Cowboys training camp introductory presser. And we're going to start with old Jers boys, as America's team sets to hit the field in Oxnard, California. And, every team does this. If you're a Commanders fan, we saw our general manager and head coach hit the podium to a lot less fanfare, obviously, and talk about what to expect in training camp and this, that, and the third. And so this is not abnormal. This isn't something that the Cowboys did exclusively. Every team does this. Have their brass come out, talk about what to expect, what they think is going to happen this upcoming season, yada, yada, yada. But it's always different for Dallas. It always hits a little bit different for the Cowboys. And then, Jerry and Steven are always going to put a little extra sauce on it. So they make it so that it's a big spectacle when it doesn't have to be. So here we are, right? I want to start with all in, because that was one of the rallying cries this offseason was all in, right? All in this season. And Jerry's idea of what all in looks like versus everyone else's idea of what all in is supposed to look like. Jerry's like, hey, my idea and my definition of all in may be a little bit different than your definition of all in. Touche, Jerry. Touche. Let's listen to old Jerry talk about all in this offseason and how he feels like they're positioned to be all in this upcoming season. Take a listen.
Here, I'm all in. I'm all in. Sometimes being all in means you narrow, you remove the months out here that are in the future, and you narrow it down to where all we're talking about is right now and the next playoff season, and that's it for everybody. We're all in. We're all in. It's all right there. Let's okay. We all got some things out here in the future, another 2 or 3 years on contracts, all that stuff. Let's all get in here. Zero right now in this. Dak's got his year. Contract. Let's focus right here. We all got a lot on the line for that playoff game. A lot of it. So you got to understand a weird way of looking at it a little bit with that time.
So let's all get on in here now, right? Let's all get in here. Dak's got his 1 year, and Mike McCarthy's got his 1 year, and our defensive coordinator's got his 1 year, and let's all just get in here and let's go get this playoff game, right? did somebody remind Jerry that there is a regular season, right? There's an entire offseason. There's a preseason. You do have to play regular season games, win those, win enough to qualify for postseason play. And then ultimately you want to get it done in the postseason, which they haven't been able to do. I don't know if he's aware of that or not, that there is actually a process that you go through to make it to the postseason. And we get it. In Dallas, that's what it's all about, right? 12-5 the last 3 years. Little to no postseason success, only one postseason win to show for 3 consecutive years of 12-5. So you get what he's insinuating. Hey, it's all about the postseason for us. We're all in about getting it done come January. And while that's accurate, you've made a lot of changes. And there's a lot of things going on, a lot of outside noise that is going to alter potentially what the Cowboys will be this season, including your defensive coordinator from a season ago, your defensive pass game coordinator from a season ago. These guys are no longer there, right? Your left tackle, your future Hall of Fame left tackle, no longer there, right? There are changes that have taken place with the Dallas Cowboys. Tony Pollard, no longer there, right? This team is going to be different this season. Dan Quinn isn't going to be there. We'll see if it affects them in the way that I think. I don't think their defense is going to fall off a cliff, okay? I actually think that Mike Zimmer is a good defensive coordinator, and he'll come in there and he'll stabilize it, but they won't be the defensive force from taking the ball away perspective that really helped amplify that offense and allowed them to get all the opportunities that they've had over the last 3 years to score points and to be one of the more prolific offenses. I don't think they'll have that many opportunities. I don't think they'll be that dynamic defensively like they've been in the past, but we'll see, right? Time will tell. But for him to talk about being all in, to skip everything and just talk solely about the playoffs, he might have a rude awakening coming. All right. A rude awakening coming. But let's not stop there. I'm going to come back to old Jerry because, boy, Jerry took the top off with this last one. This last soundbite I'm going to play for you. He took the top off with that one. I'm going to save that one for last. As a wise woman once said, save the best for last. So I'm going to do that, right? Let's go to Stephen Jones. Protect the Jones family at all costs. The Cowboys will never win anything of substance as long as this family is helicoptering and hovering over this organization and strangling the life out of them, you know, like a barbaric giant with its hands around the neck of its prey, right? As long as the Jones family is sucking the life out of this organization, we have nothing to worry about. The Cowboys will never, ever win anything of substance. So even in saying, I hope Jerry lives to 250, at some point, he's not going to be with us any longer. No worries. His son will be here to pick right up where old Papa left off. Let's listen to Stephen Jones talking about paying players and bringing up the Minnesota Vikings. If I'm the Vikings, I'm like, hey, ho, leave my name out your mouth. Don't bring me up. I ain't got shit to do with what you talking about. Let's listen to Stephen Jones talking about paying players in Dallas.
I welcome the opportunity that we've drafted well enough to have one of the best quarterbacks in the league, one of the best pass rushers in the league, if not the best, and one of the best receivers, if not the best receiver in the league. Welcome the opportunity. It's great that we draft like that, but it does take time, and it's certainly not easy. You look at a guy like Jefferson, they're not paying a quarterback. They're not paying anybody on their roster at this point. So it's a lot easier for them to stretch a little more, and we're just trying to work through reasonably with CD, reasonably with Dak, what we can do to make it work from an economic standpoint. And certainly when you're trying to pay 3 guys like that, it certainly does limit your opportunities to maybe improve the roster down the line.
So, look, what Steven said there, he wasn't far off base, right? The Cowboys have drafted really well. And I've talked about that over the years. The Cowboys actually do draft well. Sometimes I feel like they can, do the whole smartest thing, smartest team in the room thing, where they start going off the rails and trying to find the chic guy from Southeast Illinois State, but for the most part, they do a good job of drafting elite stuff, right? And we've seen that over the years. And it's no different now, which is why they find themselves in the position that they're in right now, having to pay CD, knowing that they're going to have to pay Micah Parsons, understanding that, if you continue to draft well, this is the byproduct of that. It's an unintended consequence. While you want good players and you want to draft really well, eventually you're going to have to pay them if you want to keep them in Dallas or on your team. And so he's not wrong about that. They've drafted well, right? That's why they're in the position that they're in. But for him to then go cry, oh, woe is me. Oh, we're so poor over here. We can't afford to do this. It inhibits what you can do with the roster. Duh, right? And then for him to bring up the Minnesota Vikings situation, well, they can pay Justin Jefferson all that money. They're not paying a quarterback. They're not paying anybody over there. First of all, keep my damn name out your mouth. If I'm Minnesota, I'm like, hey, ho, keep my name out your mouth. I don't got nothing to do with what your situation is. Don't be clocking what we doing over here. Don't count our coin. You worry about your situation. That's number one. Number two, I looked at the Detroit Lions this offseason. Anybody paid attention to what the Lions did this offseason? Because I saw them pay Jared Goff. I saw them pay their star wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I saw them pay their star left tackle or right tackle, big money. I saw them take care of a lot of players this offseason. They didn't seem to have an issue doing that, did they? Now, it's a little bit different because Dallas has been paying other guys, right? And the Lions just started paying their players, and I get all of that. But here's another thing to consider. If you think Dak is this all-world quarterback, as you just alluded to, we got one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Oh, really? If you feel that way, why haven't you paid him yet? I need clarification. If Dak's so good, why haven't you paid him? Why is he going into the final year of his deal? Why does he have you by the scrotum here if he's such a good quarterback? If you believe in him so much so, why are you waiting to the very last second to pay him? Why does Dak have this leverage? He wouldn't have this leverage if you would have taken care of him last year. He wouldn't be in this position if you would have paid him. If you thought that highly of Dak Prescott, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Now, would we? So don't feed me this bullshit of we got one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Yeah, you do have one of the better receivers, and you do have one of the best pass rushers in the league, and eventually you're going to have to pay all of them. But if you would have taken care of this in the right manner, you wouldn't be in the position that you're in right now. And that leads me to my final clip that we're going to play here. Oh, man. This right here is gold. Mike, no. This is platinum. Jerry is a timeless treasure that I never, ever want to go away. And as I've said many a times, and I said at the top of today's show, protect the Jones family at all costs. Let nothing, and I mean nothing, pull them apart from this organization that they've built from the ground up, essentially. Listen to this gem from Jerry Jones, this Joe Biden special that this man offered up, as he talks about his days as of an option quarterback. What the hell is Jerry talking about? Take a listen to this as he compares himself to Patrick Mahomes. Take a listen.
We are so involved in trying to see where we are with our situations that is a major part of seeing the leaves fall, seeing the time go by, seeing this day and this week, how they go by. And by the way, Alt, I have in my life played option quarterback so many times and wait until the last leaf on the tree. And if you want to picture an pure option quarterback going out to the sideline, I have run that ball and kept it and not hand it off to the back, not pitch it back, not throw it. And I have run that thing all the way out to the sideline before I made the decision. Because I couldn't get whatever it took it wasn't right for me to make the decision. And so what our fans, what you're seeing, what we deal with is we're buying time. We're option quarterbacking and we're going on out toward the sideline and we haven't handed it off. We haven't pitched it. We're trying to make our mind up what to do. Does that sound like Mahomes to you? A little bit? Okay. It do. It really do. So having said that, I'm just trying to give you a description here. That's what we're doing. And we're waiting for something to happen in the morning.
What the was Jerry talking about? Can anybody explain to me what in the hell was Jerry talking about just now? I don't even think he knew half of what the hell he was talking about. He was talking about leaves on the tree and playing option quarterback and running out to the sidelines. And I was, Jerry, what the hell are you talking about, bro? Like, seriously, what are we doing right here? This analogy has gone off the rails. What are we doing right now? They're in trouble. I really, really feel, this is the only person I think I feel for in this situation is Mike McCarthy. He's being set up to fail. Now, again, he's got 1 year. They've essentially said, okay, bro, 12-5, 3 years in a row. That's cool, but you didn't win in the playoffs, so you got to win this year, or we gonna probably move on to Bill Belichick or somebody else next year. He's in a tough spot, and it's gonna be fun. If this thing crashes and burns this year, it will be legendary. It will be on par. I don't think it'll be quite as disastrous as the dream team, the Eagles dream team, because they were so boisterous and so egotistical, right? They were so brash and in your face about how good they were and what they were going to do. That's not necessarily what the Cowboys are doing. So it won't be as beautiful to watch, but it'll be just as enjoyable, right? Because it's Dallas. And Jerry's already counting his chickens before they hatch, right? He's already talking about playoff football as if this team is already in the postseason and they haven't made changes this offseason and they haven't made any real additions to their squad to make you feel like they've done things to get better. They're essentially running it back with less ammunition, right? They were loaded last year. It felt like they were pushing their chips to the center of the table last year when they went and acquired, Cooks, and they started to, and they went and got Gilmore and all of those guys. It felt like they were going for it last year, right? That felt all in last year. This year, no Gilmore, right? He's gone, and no Quinn and no Tony Pollard, and it just feels like they've taken a step back. Yet they're not acknowledging that. You got Dak on the last year, and I don't know if he thinks, I don't know if he understands who his quarterback is. Dak Prescott doesn't play better under pressure, right? That's not so I think he feels like he's giving him added incentive. Hey, you're on the last year of your deal here, Dak. If you want to play for the Dallas Cowboys, you're going to need to get it done in the playoffs. Do you know who your quarterback is? This man struggles with pressure, all right? He has anxiety when pressure is applied. Do you understand who you're dealing with here? Do you really think you're going to get the best out of one Dakota Rain Prescott by telling him, hey, you got to win this year, Dak, or going to have to move on to Trey Lance? You think that's going to help Dak perform at his peak? I don't really understand the logic with what Dallas is doing, by having everybody essentially on this 1 year, let's see what you got, world tour here. Like, hey, Mike McCarthy, let's see what you got. 1 year. Gave you a 1 year defensive coordinator rental. Let's see what you got. It's amazing that he feels like this is what all in looks like. This is what all in. Hey, everybody get in here. Come on. Dak, you got a 1 year deal. Mike McCarthy, you got 1 year left. Hey, we just brought in Mike Zimmer on a 1 year deal. Hey, everybody get in here. 1 year left. Let's go. Hey, team 1 year deal on 3. 1, 2, 3, all in 1 year. Hey, let's get it. I don't know if he understands that that's not what all in looks like, but gotta love it. I'm enjoying this. It's just getting started. As a wise man once said, better go and get your popcorn ready. I got my damn popcorn ready. I'm shoveling in, handfuls into my mouth. I am all in already. Don't the Cowboys play week 1 on national television against somebody good too? I don't remember. I might be mixing them up with the Jets. I don't remember who they play week 1. If it's on that, normally they're on national television week 1. I feel like they're on Sunday Night Football against somebody. But I could be wrong. I know the Jets are on Monday night against the 49ers. And the Thursday night game is the kickoff of Chiefs and Ravens. I don't remember the Sunday night game. I really feel like the Cowboys are Sunday night, but whatever the case may be. Oh man, this is gonna be a fun season because I could easily see the Cowboys on some 8-9, 9-8 shit this year. I could really see that, but I digress. The Cowboys play the Browns on Fox game of the week, so that's the Tom Brady game. That's right. It's Tom Brady's first game in the booth. You are absolutely right about that. That should be really fun. I can't wait for it. Oh man, this is gold. Long live Jerry Jones. We must protect the Jones family at all costs. We must protect them. Let's get to our social media maneuvers. Y'all know what it is. I'm a midday marauder. Back like cook crack. If you're out there, you want your comment read on the air. If it is pertinent, use the hashtag LouieTeeLive to have your comment read on the air. We'll get to it if time permits. If you want to ensure that your comment is read on the air, however, super chats are the way to get that done. That ensures that you jump straight to the front of the line and ensure that we address your comment on the air and react to it. So use that super chat function if you want to ensure that your comment is read. If you want to roll the dice and hope it comes up nice, use the hashtag LouieTeeLive. And if time permits, we'll get to it. So with that said, let's get to the comment section, see what you guys have to say. First, quick shout out to our newest member of the MOBB, David Brown. Stand up. You are the newest member of the MOBB. So glad to have you on board. Mob, you know what to do. Show David some love. David Brown, welcome to the squad. Glad to have you on board. My guy, John Perez, JP, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, JP writes, Lou, good to see you as always. Likewise, JP. I'm gonna deliver a spicy hot take. Spicy hot take right here. The Dallas Cowboys will go 7-10 or 8-9 and miss the 2024 postseason. While that is a bit spicy, especially 7-10, I could see 8-9, 9-8 coming from Dallas this year. I could see that. I'm not expecting that. Let me reiterate that again. I still think this is a double-digit win team. I still think this is a playoff team when it's all said and done. I do not see 12-5 this year. I do not see that level of dominance from Dallas, but I do see 10-7. Maybe 11-6 if the ball bounces their way. But I think they're a 10-7 team, which is good enough for a wild card. I do not see this team, however, going 12-5 or 13-4 or anything elite like that this upcoming season. But I don't think that a lot of people would be shocked if they went 8-9, 9-8. 7-10 would shock me. Double-digit losses would shock me from the Cowboys. But that is a hot take because I think most people, even with the offseason that hasn't been, and Jerry all in and all of the contractual situations that they have in front of them, I think most people feel like they're gonna, when the season starts, drown out a lot of the noise and get the job done. But I just think this division is getting better. I don't think that they're going to be able to walk over the Giants any longer. The guy that helped them walk over the Giants as if they didn't exist is no longer there. He's in Washington now. And I think the Commanders have gotten better. That's not an easy sweep for the Cowboys anymore. And they always struggle with Philadelphia. So I just think, they were good for 5 of their 12 wins in the division, knowing that they were probably going to split with Philadelphia. They were going to probably sweep Washington and sweep the G-Men. I just don't know if that's going to be the case anymore. I don't know if they're good for 5 wins in the division, right off the rip. So that's part of the reason why I don't think I see them at 12. I could see them at 10, right? But we'll see what happens. Sort of a spicy take. 7-10 is very spicy. Very, very spicy. Matter of fact, so spicy, I got to take a drink, take a sip of water, because if they go 7-10, heads are, look, if they don't make the playoffs, everybody's fired. Everybody's gone. Dak might not be back if they go, 8-9, 9-8, miss the playoffs. Everybody's gone at that point. But do you know the theater that would exist if they go 7-10 or 8-9? Do you understand the train wreck that it would be? That would be fun to watch. Rosario Satara Poleski, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, "Hey, LT, sent an email a few days ago about my book updates this year so far. Because it was too many words for a super chat, I read it, and I'm actually in the process of sending you back an email. So, excuse me. Really proud of the progress that's been made, man, as you continue to put out your books about cinema. And I'm really proud of where you are, man. I remember when this process first started for you. So continue grinding, continue to put out quality content, right? And continue to mosey along, man. I'm really proud of where you are in your journey and in your process, and continue to grind, man. It's fun to watch. He says, and I'm also happy for the return of gold pants, burgundy and gold again. I'm actually excited to see those gold pants in action. Even though the Allbergs were fine, we just don't win in Allbergs. And the running joke is we haven't won in anything. Touche, right? Touche. But we really weren't winning anything in Allbergs, right? So it'll be nice to switch it up, give them another alternative to the all burgundy or the burgundy tops, white bottoms. Now you throw in the gold pants, and hopefully that's something that looks really clean. It looks good in these photos. Let's see how it looks on the field. Thank you for that, Russ. The Black Al B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Black Al B writes, "What up, Lou? What's up, Black Al B?" Says, "F the Cowgirls. I'm going to catch the presser for the laughs for sure. The tracks by ran were on point, I hope. Glad you're back on your afternoons." So, yeah, we're gonna start to work the podcast back into the afternoon spin, because this is where it belongs, obviously. And when the season starts and when things get hectic, this is where it's going to be, right? We won't have time to do this at night. We'll have other, endeavors going on at nighttime. So this will be, where it is, and this is where it'll be, because this is where it belongs. So, yeah, that press conference it's money, man. You need to check it out. Do yourself a favor. You want to laugh a little bit. You want to, Jerry, somebody in the comment section said Jerry looks like Fire Marshal Bill. He really does. Look, let me tell you something. He really does. That's a great listen if you want to laugh. You want a few chuckles. Excuse me. Definitely get that done. Corey Kidwell, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Corey writes, Would someone take a look at this? This dude is the Joe Biden of the NFL. I'm telling you, like, he was really, really stumbling. And look, he's getting up there, man. I don't know what Jerry's age is, but Jerry's definitely up there in age now. And so he's not as sharp as he once was. And but he still has his faculties. You know, he still knows what's going on. But um, excuse me, he's definitely getting up there in age. That's an understatement. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. But I hope he is just getting into the twilight of his career. Like, look, we're just getting started here, bro. I hope there's another 20 with Jerry in the bag, right? Because as long as he's there, there will be maximum dysfunction. You know, if he's no longer there, there'll still be dysfunction, but I don't know if it will reach maximum levels. You know, Steven has his dad's genes in him. So there's going to be dysfunction no matter what. As long as a Jones family member is present, dysfunction will exist. But if you want maximum, like if you want to turn that lever all the way to maximum dysfunction, you need Jerry to be involved. So hopefully he's just getting started down the twilight of his career. And we got another 20 in the bag with Jerry holding us down, right? David Brown, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy David writes, Lou, hope all is well. Likewise, David. He says, thoughts on the Giants defense. I think they're going to be an improved unit on paper from a personnel standpoint. We got to see safety-wise what Tyler Nubin does as a rookie, replacing Xavier McKinney, who is a damn good football player. It's year 2 of the corner out of Maryland who played well at times last year. He was up and down. So, you know, another year for him, but in a different system, right? In a different scheme. So we'll see how he adjusts to Shane Bowen. But obviously their front is what looks like it has a chance to be really nasty and ferocious with Brian Burns on one side, Kayvon Thibodeau on the other side, and Dexter Lawrence in the middle. They've got a chance to be really problematic up front. Now, that's a 3-4 front that they run. Shane Bowen is a 3-4 guy. So that'll give it an interesting spin. That won't affect the pass rushers off the edge, but it will affect Dexter Lawrence and what he was doing, you know, inside. So it'll be interesting to see how they, you know, play around with all those things. And then obviously, you know, your 3-4 is a base look, and they won't be in base a whole hell of a lot. So it'll still be an even front for the most part. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. The linebackers played really well last year. McFadden was a revelation last year, and Okereke was outstanding. So they feel good about their backers. It'll be, I think what it'll boil down to is their corners and the safety. So that secondary is ultimately where I think the question marks lie for the Giants. And I'm not sure that Shane Bowen is a guy that's going to mix it up a ton, you know, from a blitzing standpoint. He'll, you know, mix in one here or there, but he's more of a, I want to just try to get to the quarterback without pressuring if I can, which most coordinators want to. But, you know, there's guys that don't mind sending pressure to make you uncomfortable. And I think Shane Bowen is a basic defensive coordinator. That's where I think he's going to bottleneck that defense, if you ask me. But we'll see. I think the Giants have a chance to be really, really disruptive defensively. But it's really going to boil down to how much pressure can they apply up front, and can they marry that with the back end that we think has a ways to go. So, Door Gunner, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Door Gunner writes, happy belated birthday, Lou. I really appreciate that. And quick little shout out. Let me give a quick shout out. I'm going to do it now. And I'm going to do it a little bit later, too, on the Washington show. But I want to give a quick shout out to my guy, Sean Moorer, for the birthday love on CashApp. Really appreciate you, man. Thank you so much, Sean. Big ups, man. Really appreciate the birthday love. Same can be said for my guy, Frankie Baby, aloha to my guy, Frank McLaughlin, for the birthday love on Cash App as well. Really, truly do appreciate you guys for the love on Cash App. So want to thank you guys, and also want to throw out a little bit of love um, to my guy Brandon Harris as well. Thank you for the love on Cash App and helping your kid, your boy, celebrate his birthday, man. I really appreciate each and every single one of y'all. Thank you to everyone out there for all the well wishes on my birthday. To all of you who had well wishes after my birthday, it's all the same. It's all love. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Door Gunner says, this season has me pumped. Just want to see us be competitive and show progress from start to finish. And you will. I'm telling you right now, you're going to see a team that fights, that scratches, that claws, that competes, that hustles, that gives maximum effort week in and week out. I don't know how many wins are going to come about this season for the Commanders, but what you will see is maximum effort. What you will see is a team fighting their asses off to get better each and every day, right? Each and every snap, each and every quarter, each and every game. And I think you're going to be proud of the product that's being put on the field. I think we all will be. And you couple that with hoping that you got it right at the quarterback position. And I'm feeling really good about this young kid, Jaden Daniels. It's going to make for, I told you, this is going to be a fun season. It's going to be a fun season. I really, truly do believe that, but I digress. Let's get to the comment section and see what you guys have to say. I want to add this in, or you know what? I'll just save this. I'll save that for garbage time. Let's just get to the comment sections and see what you guys have to say as we go through. Casper the Barbarian writes, I've never wanted someone to have immortality more than Jerry Jones. I can't say that I've never wanted someone to have immortality more than Jerry Jones. He's pretty high on the list. If we're talking about sports, he's pretty high on the list. I remember at one point we were protecting Dave Gettleman at all costs with the Giants. We're kind of in the same boat with Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones and company. Protect those dudes at all costs. Make sure that they're comfortable. Get them whatever they want. If Jerry wants another, sausage, egg McMuffin with syrup and all of that, get him whatever he wants, right? Let's make sure that he's comfortable and that he doesn't go anywhere. We need him right there wreaking havoc on an organization that hasn't seen the NFC Championship game since 1996. Keep him right where he is, right? I love it, man. Man, I love it. So Ghost Rider says, who will be the Cowboys quarterback if Dak were to leave? That's the $1 million question, which is why you really can't move on from Dakota. If you're Dallas, you're not in a position to do so, right? And that was part of the conversation that we had with Scooter Magruder on the Super Friends, which was, where are you going, right? Scooter's like, a lot of the Cowboys fans like to talk, and fans of other teams like to talk about Dak's trash, he's this, he's that. That's fine. Who you replacing him with? And I always tell the youth of America, don't quit your job until you've already got the next one lined up and you got a start date, right? Like, don't leave the job that's providing you with steady income if you don't have another one already done, signed, sealed, and delivered. If you're Dallas, you can't move on from Dak. Who you replacing with? Trey Lance? You're right. You don't know what Trey Lance is. One team has already given up on him. You don't know what he is. He could end up being really good in this league, for all we know. But are you willing to risk your foreseeable future on a quarterback who has one or two career NFL starts? Are you really willing to do that? Keep in mind, the Cowboys aren't some rebuilding franchise and organization. They're in win now mode. You're going to pay CeeDee Lamb all this money. You're going to pay Michael Parsons all this money. You've already paid Trayvon Diggs all that money. You're paying Zach Martin, and you're paying all these players. You're not paying all those guys to be mediocre. You're paying those guys because you think you got a chance to win a Super Bowl. So that's the $1 million question. If Dak's no longer there, then who, right? Then who? Let's see. We got any more comments before we move on? I think we got everything knocked out. I do have another super chat here from Door Gunner. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy, Door Gunner. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, Al Jerry will eternally run the team. Hashtag left-handers. AI Jerry, excuse me. That's an I. I hate that about capital I's and lowercase L's. They all look the same, right? Like there needs to be a distinction there somehow, some way, right? Like just put the two lines, one at the bottom, one at the top. If it's a capital I, why are you doing that? That has nothing to do with you, Dory Gunner. I'm talking about, some of these fonts. It's just dumb, right? They shouldn't look the same. AI Jerry will eternally run the team. Look, if he can do damage from the afterlife, I'm all for it. I don't see him being able to do so. That's why I need him here in the physical, right? I need him here in the physical so that, as I mentioned, if I want to turn up the dysfunction meter to maximum capacity, I need Jerry here for that. Without him, you can turn it up, halfway, 3/4 of the way, but you can never get it all the way to its maximum dysfunction. Similar to the Raiders, right? If you wanted maximum dysfunction, you needed Al Davis, right? They'll never be as dysfunctional as when Al was here, right? There's still dysfunction that takes place with the Raiders. We just saw it last year when they fired their coach at like 2:00 in the morning, right? Like there's still dysfunction that goes on there, but you can't have maximum dysfunction without Al Davis. May God rest his soul. If you want maximum dysfunction, you need Jerry here. And so as long as Jerry's here, we're going to have our wish. Long live Jerry Jones. Jerry, right? All right, let's continue on. Let's see. Game Bomber 1 TV 2 writes, Cowboys had Chuma Udoga starting at left tackle over Tyler Guyton in camp today, like they don't play Myles Garrett week 1. It's early. They don't have pads on. Like I said, Guyton's a rookie. Similar, Washington drafted a rookie. He's not starting. We'll talk about that later on tonight on Training Camp Confidential. But it's hard for rookies to get in there and have that impact right away, right? Now, the difference is Washington spent a 3rd-round pick on their guy. The Dallas Cowboys spent a 1st-round pick on theirs. So there is a distinct difference between the two. But, they may eventually get him to a place where they're comfortable playing Tyler Guyton, but he's not there yet, clearly. And so if Chuma Udoga ends up being their starting left tackle, blessings on top of blessings. Blessings on top of blessings. This is what all in looks like. You may be starting Chuma Udoga in week 1. All in. Yeah, all in. Push your chips to the center of the table. We all in, baby. That's what it may look like. But again, at some point, Tyler Guyton will probably be in there. It may not be week 1. They may end up kicking their former 1st-round pick guard, Trey. Oh man, I forget his name. But he's been playing well. They may kick him outside, right? And shuffle around the offensive line. And so we'll see how it goes, right? We don't know what they're going to end up doing right now. it's early. It's too early to be talking about what combinations are on the offensive line yet, because there's a lot of time between now and the start of the season. Samuel S. writes, how did Jimmy Johnson drag this man to 3 Super Bowls? Because Jimmy was in control. Jimmy had his pulse on what needed to be done. This was before Jerry, or this is when Jerry was Jerry, before he became Jerry, right? Before he became the center of attention. I need the spotlight. I need people to know I know what I'm doing. And I need them to give me respect and credit for being the best owner in football and having football acumen. If he would have just moved out of the way and let Jimmy Johnson do his thing, the Cowboys would have won 5-6 championships. I always liken it to, what if MJ never retired the first time? Would the Bulls have won 8 championships in a row? I doubt it, but I can't say that they wouldn't have. I would have loved to have seen them go up against those Houston Rockets teams that won in 94 and 95 while he wasn't there. But at the end of the day, it's the biggest what if. What if Jerry Jones had just allowed Jimmy Johnson the latitude to be the best NFL head coach in the league, which he was, and just moved, and general manager, because that's essentially what Jimmy Johnson was also really adept at. The Herschel Walker trade, the draft picks and all the players that they brought in that were the nucleus and the core and the foundation of that, Super Bowl run, those runs to the chip. Even Jimmy left them a present. That championship with Barry Switzer, that was all Jimmy Johnson. That was all his players. That was all the culture that he had ingrained in those players. That was all remnants of Jimmy Johnson. That was spillage. It only lasted for 1 year because that's all that all of the remnants that he left, that's how far it could go, was 1 year. And if not for Neil O'Donnell, it wouldn't have gotten them a Super Bowl, right? Neil O'Donnell gifted them that final Super Bowl. So at the end of the day, they're cursed because of Jimmy. Or excuse me, they're cursed because of Jerry. Jimmy Johnson was the man. I couldn't stand Dallas, but boy, was Jimmy Johnson good at what he did. So, yeah. We'll see what happens. Keith Henry says, your fire marshal bill was funny as hell. Thank you. I'm still laughing. Let me tell you something. Oh, man. Jerry looked rough today, man. I was like, ooh, boy. He looked like he hadn't seen the sun all summer and then had somebody put white foundation on his face in addition. And he looked like a ghost. But, it is what it is. Let's see. Got a comment here from Keno. They got Trey Lance, though. I said that to Scooter Magruder, and he looked at me like I had 5 heads. But when he said, if Dak's not going to be our quarterback, then who's our quarterback? And I said, Trey Lance. Oh, man. It was one of the best. It was one of the best lines and one of the best reactions of that Scooter Magruder Super Friends stream. It was classic stuff. That was fun. Anyway, I digress. Sean writes, why do you feel like Payne is better than Allen? Personally, I prefer Allen. Because I'm going after upside. That's why. Allen is probably the more consistent of the two. I'll grant you that. You look at his numbers, you look at what he's done throughout the course of his career, his body of work, and he's very consistent. You're going to get anywhere from 5 to 9 sacks, somewhere in there, and he's going to be pretty durable for the most part, and you're going to get effort out of him. You know what you're getting from Jonathan Allen, right? Deron Payne had 11 and a half sacks. Jonathan Allen has never eclipsed double digits in his career. It's the upside for me. We've seen Allen play well. I don't think we've ever seen him wreck a game. Like completely wreck and shred a game. And we've seen Deron Payne on multiple occasions wreck a game, right? Take over a game and you go, hey, they can't block him. I think if we're talking maximum ability, like if we put them side by side and we say who's got the highest ceiling, it's Deron Payne. And that's why I always favor Payne over Allen. They're both really good. They're both really good. I think one offers you maybe a little bit more consistency, and I think the other offers you higher ceiling. So that's my response to that. Keno writes, we'll beat them for the wild card this year and see how all in Jerry really is. I'm not going that far. I'll let you guys talk that talk, right? Look, I'm in the background and I'm with you. I'm not talking that talk, right? I'm close enough that if it happens and something jumps off, I'm right there in the mix with you. But if it goes sideways, I can peel off and you won't even know I was there, right? So I'm close enough to the action that if something pops off and y'all need me, I'm jumping in the scrap and I'm getting in there with y'all. But if it goes sideways, I'll fade to black and you wouldn't even know I was there. So I'll let you do all the talking. All I know is I expect Dallas to still be good, but I would not be shocked in the least if they're not good, right? If they're not good. I can't say that we're going to make the playoffs this year. I can't do that. But I'll let you do it though. I ain't mad at that. Excuse me. All right. I think that's the last comment. So now let's go ahead and transition to our final segment of the show and garbage time. So we talked yesterday about meeting the holdouts and some of the hold-ins, right? We had a number of players who have chosen to make a statement wanting, better contractual situations, more guaranteed money. In certain instances, they don't have any guaranteed money. In the Trent Williams situation, he doesn't have any guaranteed money, so he wants more, or he wants some guarantees, even though he has 3 years left on his deal. And we've seen other players this offseason. Matthew Stafford did the same thing with the Rams, and they're finalizing a deal to get him some guarantees. And so that's not uncommon where a player looks at their contract and says, hey, there are no reassurances here. If I go down with a knee injury, you guys can cut me and I'm screwed. I need to be protected. So I got a base salary here. That's cool, but there's nothing guaranteed. If you cut me tomorrow, I got nothing, right? So we talked about some of the sit-ins or hold-ins, and Tua was the most notable one of those guys. He's at Dolphins camp, but he's sitting out of a lot of the practice, right? He's sitting out of all of the team drills. There was a report today that the Dolphins offense is being quote unquote dominated by the Dolphins defense with Tua on the sidelines. I'd like to think that Tua's camp put that out there, right? Tua's camp is adding a little fuel to the fire. Like, hey, boy, they look rough out there without our guy Tua. They need to get something done. Like, I don't know if they think that's going to work or not. Some casual observers out there, maybe some of the media members might have put that out there as well. Who cares about what's going on in late July in camp? Nobody. That's not going to cause the Dolphins front office to overreact. Oh no, our defense is out here dominating our offense, and because Tua's not out there, they don't give a shit about that. That's not going to sway them or force them to act faster. Deadlines are what force teams to act faster, right? And so deadline spur action. something will get done with Tua. These situations always get figured out. Always, I love the sensationalizing of these situations because in the moment it feels like, oh my God, look at this. Same thing with Dallas. We talked about CeeDee Lamb. He's not at camp. We talked about him yesterday, and he'll get a deal done. They'll get a deal done with CeeDee Lamb. It was hard to parse through that option quarterback Jerry Jones rambling analogy, but he in there somewhere was saying, "Hey, we got it. We're gonna assess the market and we'll get something done." Um, and they will, right? But it's just you're gonna be without CeeDee Lamb until it does get done, and that's the story. Until it is, you know, taken care of, it is a story. Every day that he's not there, it's another day that people have something to talk about that isn't football related on the field for the Dallas Cowboys. But again, not that Jerry's upset about that. He loves the limelight. And anytime you're talking about the Cowboys, he's one of those, any news is good news. Whether it's good or bad, as long as they're talking about the Dallas Cowboys, we're in pretty good shape. So he doesn't mind the conversation surrounding his team, even if it is in a negative light by them not paying CeeDee Lamb at this current juncture. It'll get done. But we got another name to add to the list, right? So in Cincinnati, we already know that they have chosen to franchise tag T. Higgins, and this will probably be his last year in Cincinnati. It's no secret that they can't, just much like Dallas, you can't pay everybody, right? And same in San Francisco. I think it's more of a comparison in San Francisco than it is in Dallas because that San Francisco realizes we probably can't pay Brandon Ayuk, but we want to take a stab at this Super Bowl one last time with him, but probably can't pay him. Unlike the San Francisco situation, they have the option to use the franchise tag on Brandon Ayuk next year if they so choose. The Bengals are going through what the 49ers are currently going through with Ayuk, with T. Higgins, right? Brandon Ayuk has 1 year left on his rookie deal. T. Higgins had 1 year left last year, wanted a deal. It was a mess. It didn't go well. Now they franchise tagged him because Burrow got hurt last year. So they really didn't get that true final run at a chip. They're going to go after it this year, and then T. Higgins is going to be a free agent next year, right? So you're thinking, okay, that's the biggest issue in Cincinnati at receiver position. It's T. Higgins. Not exactly. Not exactly. So Jamar Chase is up for a contract, similar to CeeDee Lamb. And a lot of these receivers that we've seen getting paid this offseason, he's in a position to get paid. Justin Jefferson. Now, unlike some of those other guys who were a little bit further along in their process, Jamar Chase technically could play one more year and then get paid next offseason. But he's due, like $4 million this year. And he's like, bro, come on now. I'm worth more than that. So why don't y'all go ahead and break the kid off right now? And so he's at practice, but for the second day in a row, he's not practicing. So what we call that. That's a hold in. He's holding in. He's there, but he's not participating in pursuit of a new contract. So add him to the list of players who are on site, like Brandon Ayuk and several others who are there in Tua Tagovailoa, but aren't practicing. They're holding in. So Cincinnati is going to be interesting with them because unlike a lot of these organizations who take care of their players, and Cincinnati has been taking care of their guys here of late, you can't bully the Bengals. That's one thing you will not do, is bully the Brown family into doing anything that they don't want to do. If they don't want to sign you to a long-term deal right now, your actions aren't going to force them to do that. And we've seen a long history of them saying, you don't dictate shit to us. We dictate to you what's happening. They did it with Carson Palmer. They did it with Chad Johnson. They did it with T. Higgins. And they're going to continue to move in that way because that's who they are. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets what he wants with this type of behavior. Generally with them, Trey Hendrickson was upset about a deal. He told them to trade him, this, that, and third. They say, hey, Trey, go sit your ass down, bro. We don't want to hear that shit. And I ain't heard shit from Trey Hendrickson since. So, you know, they run the show out there. They're a little bit different. You know, a lot of these organizations, they're very diplomatic. It's a democracy. Hey, why don't you come in? Let's talk. Cincinnati's like, shut your ass up. When we ready to pay your ass, we'll pay you. Other than that, if you under contract, bring your ass in here and play football. So we'll see how it goes. That's an interesting dynamic. And you're seeing a lot of these teams now start to move to put these guys who haven't shown up on these lists. Trent Williams put on the, did not report list. Same could be said for Jets pass rusher Hassan Reddick. He was put on the list, did not report list. And, what's going to be interesting is in the case of Hassan Reddick, he wants 25 to 28 million. That's the report per year. And the Jets are like, we need to see if you still got it before we pay you. And he's like, bro, come on now. Well, nah, come on now. What are we talking about? That's not what we discussed when y'all traded for me. Y'all know my body of work. Y'all know what I'm out here doing. Y'all see what the numbers are. I need y'all to ante up. Right? I need y'all to ante up. So a lot of interesting dynamics taking place early in camp. These are the things that happen in the early dog days of training camp. A lot of these situations will be resolved before the end of next week, but always feels a little bit tenuous and pressing when you get to the early stages of camp and these things have not been settled, right? So anyway, I digress. Should be fun to watch all of these situations unfold. And ultimately, I think we will have resolution to each and every single one of them. Even if that resolution is nothing got done and you're going to just play because you have a year left on your contract. Or in the case of Hassan Reddick, we traded for you. I know you want a new deal, but you still got a year left on your contract. So go ahead and play, right? Are you bold enough to sit out? Are you bold enough to not play? Because ultimately, if you want to get paid, the only way to do that is to play, right? If you don't, occur at that year of service, then what do we do? You're just spinning your wheels in place. So you can balk, scoff, and be upset all you want, but if you're under contract, the only players that hold any leverage are the ones that get franchise tagged and haven't signed their franchise tag. Those are the only ones that hold any type of leverage. But even then, you're still kind of in a tough spot, right? So I surmise that a lot of these situations will be handled by the end of next week. And last year we saw some compromise with some of these situations. I wonder if we'll see that this year, where in the case of, say, a Jamar Chase, or one of these players that's holding out, could you see a 1-year deal signed, right? Like in the case of a Jamar Chase, you don't have to do any of that stuff. But a Hassan Reddick, for instance, they could tear up the final year of his current deal and give him a deal that's like incentive laden and make it really worth his while, up the base salary, put a bunch of incentives in there. You hit this milestone, you hit this marker, he could make every bit of $25 million on a 1-year deal, essentially. That could appease him for the time being. And with the guarantee, right? With the conversation being that, hey, if you go out and you hit these milestones and these markers, we'll give you that deal you're looking for. Like the promise of that. There could be some of that. There could be a compromise. We'll see, right? We saw a little bit of that last year with the running backs in particular, how the team said, hey, here's what we'll do. We'll up your guarantees, we'll up your base, we'll give you some incentives here. Same thing was done with Jordan Love, right? Gave him a contract that made him feel a little bit better than the one he was currently on as a rookie. So I think there could be some of that too. We'll see. But in any event, that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on this installment of the Louie T Network podcast. That was a lot of fun. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys next time. If you're a Commanders fan, I look forward to chopping it up with you later on tonight as we talk about day 2 of training camp on Training Camp Confidential. And we got some other discussions to have, including the offensive line. Jaden Daniels continues his hot start to camp, et cetera, et cetera. The punt game and some of the things that's going on there. We'll discuss that. So lots to get to tonight. Hopefully you'll be there. And also, if you are interested, the LTN exclusives are up and they're running. For those of you who don't know, I run a year-long pick'em pool called Winners and Losers. I also do a survivor pool. Cash prizes are given out, and for the winners and losers, not only do you get a cash prize if you win, you also get the championship strap and bragging rights for the remainder of the year. So a lot on the line there. Registration forms can be found down below in the description of this video. Click on that registration link, fill it out, pay your registration fee, $20 for the survivor pool, $25 for winners and losers league. And that will lock you in, and then get ready to have some fun and a lot of trash talk. There are a lot of different things go on there. But if you're interested, Louie T Network exclusives are open for business, and those links can be found down in the description of this video. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. I thank you guys for joining me. Until next time, you guys take care. God bless. Good night.